We've all heard the ads. You get all the upside of the market with none of the downside risk, right? Well, be careful, because you don't want the Grinch taking your Christmas away, just as you don't want an annuity or an insurance company or the person that sells that stuff to take that away either, because the reality is there's a lot of fine print on those products. We've certainly talked about that in previous radio shows before, but as is usually the case, when you have a year where the market does not coordinate or behave like we like it to, the sales of those products go up dramatically. And so what you've got to realize is that you can't suspend basic common sense believing that you're truly going to get all the upside of the market with none of the downside risk. I mean, stop and think about that, right? I mean, you don't actually believe that, do you? Because who would do that? You can't predict the future. An insurance company's not going to just all of a sudden roll out that kind of product without something else going on behind that. The reality is there's a lot of fine print on them. That's why when you get involved in one of them, you get a booklet about yay thick. For those of you who are looking at YouTube, you know, like it's like a half an inch thick. So for the radio, it's a half an inch thick. That's a lot of fine print in there that ultimately chips away at that overarching statement that you hear a lot of times on various media. So we're going to break down some of the fine print, if you will, on how that works. And then, most importantly, we're going to give you some question to ask anytime you are confronted with that choice that I doubt you'll ever get a straight answer to. And then lastly, give you a couple of examples to really drive the point home very clearly. Because the reality of this is that liquidity and access to your money is always important, because two things are going to happen. First of all, there's going to be changes in your life. Second of all, there's going to be changes in the economy and the interest rate and inflation environment. We're seeing it play out right now. So here we go. Welcome to the program, of course. This is Dollars and Cents, where we help you make sense out of all of life's decisions involving your dollars. It's Central Florida's longest-running radio program, coming to you on a host of stations throughout the Central Florida region. Also happen to be one of the top 25 financial planning podcasts on the World Wide Web. So make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast channel of choice. My name is Joel Garris, certified financial planner, certified financial fiduciary at Nelson Financial Planning, where our team of certified financial fiduciary stands ready this week to help you change your life with a successful and cost-effective financial plan. So what are some of the fine prints on these products that make the claim that you're going to get all the upside of the market with none of the downside risk? Well, first of all, don't suspend your common sense believing that, because it doesn't happen that way because of these factors. Number one, things like participation rates. You don't get all the upside of the market. You just get some of it. Number two, they eliminate the dividends. And if you know anything about the market, over the course of the past 80-odd years, dividends have contributed almost half of the performance of the market over that 80-year period of time, 44% to be exact. So if you're measuring and then you take out the thing that like accounts for like half the performance, well, then you get the idea, right? You're not actually getting all the upside of the market. Oftentimes, these products have spreads or margin fees, things like that. Another way that they do it is by capping the amount that you're actually going to get. And so constantly, because of all of this fine print, don't count the dividends, cap it out here, calculate it this way, add it this way, average it this way, all kinds of sort of math tricks, if you will, that the insurance company does in these products. You wind up with not nearly the kind of return that you think that you were going to get in the first place, particularly over time. And I guess that gets us to the other thing is you're going to be required to hold this product over a long period of time, because at the end of the day, that's how the insurance company wins this, right? They don't win this by simply offering you this particular transaction. And while you still have full access and full liquidity and full ability to use your money in whatever form and fashion you want. They've got a way to make sure that they do that. How? Because they want to make sure that they have that money over time. Because they have that money over time, then ultimately they will be able to come out ahead. How do they do that? Well, that's the most important piece of the equation, and it's those long and large surrender charges. There's no real options for liquidity. Oh, yeah, they'll say, oh, you can get 10%, you get 15%. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm not completely shut off from being able to access my capital, but what if the interest rate environment changes? What if inflation changes? What if my life changes and I need that capital? Because the reality is, I don't think I've ever met anybody who truly understands what they were getting, truly understands and appreciates what the underlying fees are, truly understands and appreciates how the product actually works, and at the end of the day, didn't wind up in some form or fashion regretting it. But at the end of the day, no way to get out of it because it would cost them so much money that they were basically stuck. But here's the most important thing. And the reality is that this is the key concept. If all of this other stuff hasn't made sense to you, here's the bottom line. The amount of compensation that these products pay is just outrageous. They're the highest commission product in the business. Pay a tremendous amount of money up front. And so we challenge you. If you're confronted with that as a proposition, as a recommendation, if you will, go ahead and ask next time. How much is that person getting paid? How much is that firm that they work for getting paid? You won't get a straight answer. Never been anybody that I've been doing in this biz for a long time. We see these products, unfortunately, all too often, and we ask the question, did they ever tell you how much they were actually getting paid? No, they said it was all taken care of by the insurance company. Out of the goodness of the insurance company's heart? I mean, is that what it is? Let me be very clear, okay? Anybody that says it's taken care of by somebody else, at the end of the day, you're paying it. That's not, you're not having altruistic insurance companies that are paying massive commissions on these products thinking that they're just being nice because, they're just nice. No, doesn't work that way. The reality is that there's a huge, anywhere from 7 or 8%. So stop and think about that. You do a couple $100,000 into that. It's a $16,000 commission at one shot on the transaction. Doesn't that sound a little excessive? Doesn't that sound a little extreme? Particularly if they're locking your money up for 8, 10, sometimes even 15 years. Seems dramatic, right? Reality is you're never going to get a straight answer from it. By comparison, ours is on our website, nelsonfinancialplanning.com. Fully disclosed, talks exactly about how we get paid and compensated along the way. At most, it winds up being about 1% per year based upon the value of your account. In contrast, if you're looking at some of these products, massive amounts of compensation that are getting paid that no one ever fully discloses to the investor. Why? Because a normal person would walk away if they ever heard the number. Never going to get a straight answer, but go ahead and ask. See if you get a straight answer on it. To the dollar. Quantify it. Not percentage, not, this, that, or the other thing. To the dollar. How much are you getting? Period. The reality is that if you knew, you'd fall out of your chair and walk out the other way. That is for sure. So we thought we would. The reality is if you don't know how much someone is precisely making by recommending a particular course of action to you, then perhaps you should not take that particular course of action, period. We'll leave you with 2 examples, 2 stories that we've seen just this month. And it highlights the limitations with taking this particular approach. So number 1 has to do with a changed environment, right? I mean, we are in a changed environment in terms of inflation and interest rates. So in this particular case, the individual put $200,000 into a fixed annuity 2 years ago and was told, you're going to make 2% per year for the next 5 years. Now, of course, they're looking at other options, right? Because 2% doesn't work. And so consequently, particularly versus a high yield savings account at, say, 4%. So that's the difference on that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hit these 2 examples, and then we will segue through to our next topic here on Dollars and Cents with Joel Garris of Nelson Financial Planning.